It's now time for What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the city of Asheville, with the host, Mr. Sam Parada, and here he is.
Hello Asheville, how are you doing today? My name is Sam Parada, and I'm your host today with Jerri Goldberg and Sarah Gross. Very happy to have you both here. So why don't you take a quick moment to tell me about yourselves, what do you do for the city, and maybe a little bit of your background if you want.
I'll go first. Hi, I'm Sarah Gross. I'm the Deputy City Clerk. I've been in this position for about 7 years and with the city for about 10 years. One of my primary roles is working with boards and commissions with Jerri here. We do the administration of the programming for boards and commissions. So, over to you.
Yeah, hey, and I'm Jerri Goldberg. So I've been with the city for about 4.5 years. In my current role, about 2.5. Right, Sarah? I think something like that. So primarily I work with the boards and commissions with Sarah, which we're going to be talking about boards and commissions.
Yes, we are. I wanted to say before we even move forward, just for those who don't know, what are boards and commissions, and what does it mean? You know, what does it mean to work with a city on a board?
You want to take that one, Jerri?
I can give it a shot, sure.
Right,
so I actually have the unique perspective that I served on city boards and commissions before I worked for the city, and then in my role with the city prior to joining the clerk's office, I was a staff liaison supporting a city board, and now, of course, I support it from the clerk's office. So there are different types of boards and commissions. There are advisory boards, and then there are some that are mandated by statute, that have a little bit more authority to make decisions that are like quasi-judicial boards. We're going to speak primarily about advisory boards, and what those are is they advise council pretty much on whatever the topic and charge of that board is, for whatever they were formed for, what established them.
So there's many boards and commissions. There's different topics they go over. Okay.
Yeah. They're all established by city council either through a resolution or an ordinance, and that gives them their mission, basically, their statement, their scope of what they should be advising council on.
And just an example of one of this is the Human Relations Commission. Is that?
Human Relations Commission of
Yes.
Asheville, yes.
That's one that I've been to. I've seen what they do, and it's different than like city council. What they talked about was making an ordinance so that you cannot be either fired or not hired based on your hairstyle, for example. But that was just one of the many that I have seen.
Yeah.
So everyone has a different topic, and people from the public get to sign up and join them.
So that's a great example of where these policy ideas can be born. It starts at the committee level for the committee to have these discussions and eventually get to the point where they're making a recommendation, which can go all the way up to a council committee and then city council for adoption. So these boards and commissions are an excellent place to start those conversations, get public's input, because the public is of course always welcome to attend and participate in public comment, and so this is where things are really born and can move their way up to what could actually become a resolution and ordinance for the city of Asheville.
Right. And how does one sign up to be a member of board?
Sure. Well, so there are, we have more than 30 boards and commissions here
Wow.
at the city of Asheville. We have a lot, especially for the size of our city. But that's because city council wants an engaged community. So how you can get involved is basically go to the website at asheville.nc.gov and just search for the clerk's office under boards and commissions, and there's a listing of all the boards and commissions that city council appoints to there. If you're interested in one of those topics, we strongly suggest you attend one of the meetings so you can see how they function, how they, the types of discussions they have, and if it's truly something that you might want to get involved in, because you can't always tell from what's written on a page, a description. Then if you're interested, you apply. City Council does appointments 4 or 5 times a year to various boards and commissions. So there's a listing of all the boards that have openings. So if there's an opening coming up on a board, you can go to that webpage and they're listed there. You can apply, and then when council is scheduled to do appointments for that board, they will review all of the applicants and then make their appointments based on that.
Do you have to have any experience on the subject, or like it's like a job application, because it is kind of like a job?
Sure, a little bit. Yeah, you're a volunteer and your expertise. So, do you have to have any experience? For most of the advisory boards, no. Some of the quasi-judicial, there might be some expertise that would help because they might be reviewing development plans or things like that. So, again, not necessarily needed, but certainly beneficial. And if they're looking at candidates who can bring some expertise to that board or commission.
And I would say expertise and lived experience.
Yes.
City council's role is to really look at who's at the table and who needs to be at the table. So maybe you don't have any direct experience, but you do have some life experience, right? You can bring in some opinions or
perspectives.
That's the word. Yes.
Might be missed.
So no, not necessarily experience. So please apply.
You can be passionate about the subject.
Absolutely.
Be a part of the board.
And one thing I want to add there is you don't necessarily need to serve on the board, but if you are interested in something that the board's talking about, you can watch and or give public comment.
And you don't have to be in person. I don't know what you wanted to say, Jerry, but
we'll get back to
that.
To whether you need to be in person if we can. I wanted to just expand a little bit that yes, you can provide public comment, but also several boards have task forces, and you do not need to be a board member necessarily to serve on subcommittees or task forces. So there's other ways to get involved that might not have the same time commitment or length of commitment that serving on a board might.
Yeah, great.
Because once you serve as a board member, you are in it until, how long is it? 2 years?
3 years.
Most.
Generally 3 years. Some are 2 years, some are 4 years. So you do want to look at that before signing up. And you can serve 2 consecutive terms. You do not have to. So, and then I guess something to note here is that reappointments are not automatic. City Council will be looking at all the applications.
Got it. So jumping super quick back at, if you cannot be a board member, but you want to participate anyway, you cannot show up in person to these public meetings. We do have other means to make you join. Or allow you
to share your concerns or opinions or perspective. Yes.
So a couple ways to do this. All of our boards are streamed online, so if you can't attend in person, you can watch it on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch it live, that's okay. You can go to the city's YouTube channel and just watch the archives. So it's a good way to just kind of follow along at your own pace. For public comment, you have the opportunity to submit before the meeting, so that could be in writing and or via voicemail, and all those are submitted to the full committee and also published online in the public folder. So those are ways, and then of course you could attend the meeting live and provide public comment there. I think this is an excellent place to kind of so currently all of our board members know that the board meetings are held either in person or virtually. It's an either or. We are working towards, and just recently on June 20th, the Equity and Engagement Council Committee provided direction to move towards hybrid meetings. So this is really exciting. I think it would be a great opportunity for more accessibility for both members and people who want to participate, not necessarily serve, to be in person and or virtually. So really excited. We're going to move forward with that.
Yeah, and this is something that I brought up in this show before. We have a public input survey, Your Voice, Your Choice, where you get to self-identify with whatever preferred topics you want to be. You receive emails on this project because it affects the bike population or the youth. And I think this is another layer of how do you participate in local government, or and you get to choose which ones you want to be a part of. You don't have to go to city council and sit through however many topics they have for the day to then speak for 3 minutes, this is something more tailored to what you want. So yeah, please come out and join and sign up to be a board member.
Just watch.
I will say from having served on and I served on the Civic Center Commission for 6 years, and then I've served on some county boards too, so there's that perspective as well. I will say, for me at least, it really was fulfilling. We got to provide input to the Civic Center staff, which was then brought to council and the city manager's office back at that time. And, you know, especially when it's something that there's interest in and you see it play out in front of you and you knew you had a little part of that, it was extremely satisfying and fulfilling for me to have participated in that way in the city that I love.
Yeah, and that's something that I always ask people who come into the show, or I try to ask a lot, is, you know, we work in city government. And by definition, that can be a little bit slow sometimes. There's a lot of... I've only been with the city for like a little over a year at this point. And yeah, I think I can say this with confidence. But it's not for lack of trying. Right. And so one of my favorite questions to ask is, what has been a project that you have seen to fruition? Or what has been something that you have seen in the city as you walk and you say, oh, look, that was me. I made that happen. And I think in this case, the question is not just for city employees, but since you have worked as a board member, you know, is it kind of the same feel? Like you do have a voice in what happens?
You absolutely do. I think perhaps for me, another board that I served on was the Belshare board. Now, Belshare is no longer. 2013 was the last year for Belshare, but every year, just seeing that event come to fruition, oh my goodness, because you worked year-round for that, all of our boards work year-round on whatever their topic is. But then to see that festival just pop up on Friday morning after work, you know, and it seemed to kind of pop overnight. It was pretty amazing. But at the Civic Center, you know, the Civic Center is an old building, of course, you know. The Thomas Wolfe needs some work, as we know, but it was renovated several years ago, and part of that was from recommendations that came from when I was on the Civic Center Commission. Cool. So I enjoy going and participating, you know, sharing in events there at the space, whether it's a concert or, you know, I used to love to go to the basketball games when we had basketball here, but whatever it might be, and just know that I had, you know, a small part in bringing some changes.
I mean,
to
that's all that it takes. Yeah. I mean, it's not a single person making decisions. It takes all of us to really make that difference.
Yeah.
And to be able to see that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It really is. So, and I'm sure, you know, we could call on a dozen different board members who have served over the years, and many of them would have similar experiences to share of things that they've seen, whether it could be, you know, even a right of way, you know, in a neighborhood that made it safer or something like that they participated in bringing that to council and making that change.
I love that. So I wanted to also ask, you know, you said we have 30 plus boards currently. Are there new ones being added? Are some being like taken away? Because you said like the one in 2013, the Belshare ended. What's the cycle when it comes to new or, you know, getting rid of some boards?
Well, I'm going to start from the beginning here for a little bit of clarification. So City Council appoints to 30 plus boards and commissions. Now, not all of them are necessarily managed by the city. Just an example, there's some regional boards, including, again, as an example, the Tourism Development Authority. City Council appoints 2 or 3 seats to that board, but it's not managed by the city. So that's what City Council is appointing to. The city itself manages about 20 plus, a majority of those being advisory boards, which are created by City Council. And most, I'd be willing to say, none of them necessarily have an expiration date, or so they're standing until City Council were to have a conversation. So some of our boards, including like the rec board, for example, goes back to the 1960s.
Wow.
So I know that some of the committees are in the process of kind of reviewing those established ordinances and thinking about how the scopes had changed, not necessarily to get rid of it, but to update it for like the current, the world we live in,
Yeah.
which has changed greatly.
But yes, there have been a few boards added in recent years, and that's whenever council feels that there is a need or something that they wish to explore and have citizen input from resident, coming in.
Sounds good. So these 20 plus boards, do they all go to council at the same time with advice or recommendations, or do they go whenever they're ready? Like, how does that work?
Great question. It varies. It varies greatly. As recommendations develop, the next step would be council committee. So this is, at the timeline for the committee.
So like another step.
Yeah, another step in our council committees are 3 council members who are also doing policy vetting and having those discussions before it goes to full council. So that's a natural next step. They're not all doing it at the same time. It's just, more or less as needed. One thing that does happen every year is the annual reports. So all of our boards, I'm sorry, excuse me. All of our boards and commissions are asked to do an annual report that goes to city council. And part of this is, any recommendations, what has the board been working on, what are some of the things the board wants to work on. And this gives city council the opportunity to kind of see what the boards are doing and or could be doing.
And so they're more prepared during city council meetings when, these advices come in, or?
Oh, these are just submitted to via email, I guess, to the city council.
Oh, okay.
And city council has the opportunity to talk about it at their retreat.
And if I can add, the annual reports are all posted on our website, and that's also a great way if you're considering, that perhaps serving on or applying for a board or commission. That's also a good place to go and to look at the prior annual reports from that board to see some of the things that they have worked on, some of the challenges they faced, but some of the activities they've brought forward and moved up as well. That's a really good place. They're all there. You've got time. No, but it is a good place to see what they have been working on.
Oh, that's good. How many members per board?
That
I have been, so the one that I went to had, 8 members, but there was one of them who was leading the conversation.
Yeah.
So what are the different levels and how many people are allowed in?
Yeah, so every board has, it depends on how the board was formed and or amended over the years. So one board could have 9 members, one could have 15. It
Wow.
really depends on the board itself, but every board does have a chair, and the chair works very closely with the staff liaison, who is the main support for that board or commission, to lead the meetings. The chair leads the meetings. The staff liaison is their support for procedural issues, questions about what the city can and cannot do and how it functions.
Mm-hmm. And just, we have a schedule, get it done in time.
Yeah.
We don't want to keep everyone here in the volunteer hours.
Exactly.
Stay for forever.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, if you join one of these boards, you have to be passionate about it too, or there's some level.
It is a commitment. Yeah.
It is a commitment, and you were talking about things moving slowly in government, and I can speak as a staff member. I don't want to speak for Sarah or for you, Sam, but that can be very frustrating at times. And coming from non-public sector,
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time I'm working in public government. It really frustrated me a lot in the beginning. Now, however, I look at it that really you do have to make sure that you've got the right voices at the table, and that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the city is realizing that more and more so now, and is really putting in the work and the effort to make those changes to make sure we're getting to those who are missing from the conversations.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing
Yeah.
that up, because that's the whole point of your voice, your choice. And I know it's not perfect. There's a lot that we can do, and I do agree with you. Part of me, and you give me a couple more years to be more comfortable with it.
Yeah. Takes time.
But there's been so many instances where I think, we have a solution. Let's do it right now. But at the same time, and this is something that listeners have heard before, is we don't want to just give you a service. We want to give you quality service, and we know that there's voices missing, and we know that it's not just as simple as inviting you. We gotta take steps to make sure that we're accommodating and that you feel safe and comfortable, and that you can even attend to begin with. So I do appreciate that this is being taken into account, Jerri.
Yeah.
And this might be a good place to talk, if we may, Sam. I don't know what you have on your agenda. A little bit, though, because council has just recently moved to, we used to have monthly appointments. So every single month, council was looking at what boards had openings and looking to appoint to those boards. And now, as I mentioned earlier, we're doing it 4 to 5 times a year. And the purpose of that was we heard, from the public a few things. One, that we were missing people. People were missing from the conversation. So, and 2, that the boards wanted the board members, those who are currently serving or have served in the past, wanted better and more training, as well as our staff liaisons also. So one of the benefits of moving to less frequent appointments is allowing us to provide more training. So now new board members will have training opportunities regularly scheduled in between the appointment dates. And it's allowing us to try and do some more outreach to see that we're getting to places that we are missing. And so with that, I'm just going to kind of throw it out that if you have been wanting to serve on a board or never thought about it because you thought, I can't, the board meetings are at 5:30 at night, we want to know what the barriers are, so that we can see if there are ways to help with those, to overcome those barriers and make it more accessible for more people.
And I think going hybrid is a very
step
good
in the right direction, but there's more we can.
There's more we
working
can
towards.
and should be doing.
Yes.
Hybrid is the next step, absolutely. Language accessibility is another. All of those are coming to fruition with CAPE's, assistance. We're working on all of that, but there's more that can and should be done. And, we can sit in our offices all day and assume we understand what those barriers or access challenges are, but we don't necessarily know. So we do want to know if you've been wanting to be on a board, but there's something that has kept you from being on or from applying. Let us know what that is. Boards at AshevilleNC.gov is our email. Sarah and I get it. BOARDS at AshevilleNC.gov. And we truly do want to know what's stopping you. You want to. Is it childcare? Is it the time of the meetings? Is it the location? Transportation, correct. What's keeping you if you truly are interested in and want to have your voice heard? Because this is a great way. Our boards and commission members are the best voices we have out there as far as being able to target, what are the challenges with transit? What are the challenges with human relations? Where are we failing? So,
and what can we do?
Yeah.
Well, that's the that's the big question. What can we do?
Yeah.
We've been working now for some time on the ARPA funding to have better language accessibility. And that goes between having things translated or transcribed between Spanish and even Ukrainian Russian, because we do have a
large population
here in Asheville, out of all places. I never would have thought.
Yeah.
And sign language, all this other stuff that I was surprised that we don't have it.
Yeah.
And there's a reason too that we don't have it, obviously. But now that we know that it's a necessity, let's do something about it.
Yes.
We can work towards that, and we should be, absolutely.
And we are, which is what I find very encouraging right now. It's a slow process, but there's a reason why, and that's because we want to make sure that we do it right.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than throwing something out there and then having to pull it back, as we know.
Tell me about it.
It happens, but we're trying not to have that happen.
So I know we've gone over this a lot, but if you could have like a super quick mini speech on why should we really join, like why is this important for you and for the community? Why should I join boards and commissions or board that Jesus? I'm all over the place.
Boards, commissions, committee. We use them interchangeably.
I know we should.
Yeah.
I mean, I think. Again, this is your community. It's your community, and if there's something that you see or a need that's not being met, or something that you feel our government should be doing for us, this is the way to get that heard, or at least a better way. The most intimate way to get that heard is to serve on a board or commission. And again, for me, as I said, it was very fulfilling. But I'm sure not everyone has had that experience. But it is a definite way to at least raise the issues and or concerns of your community.
Yeah, they are the venue for the grassroots ideas, with some structure and access to city staff as well as city council.
Because I don't want to say this in a negative way, but city council public comment, that's only 3 minutes.
Exactly.
And you're one of many people speaking on a multitude of topics for the day. And I don't want to say that city council is not listening, but there's only so much they can do within that time. And I feel like these boards and commissions are a way to step back, start from the bottom, and really, smooth out your advices.
Yeah. Have the conversation and bring it up through the channels.
And it also, I was quite naive again before I joined the public sector. So you don't understand. I did not understand everything that goes into changing policy at a city level.
A single
It
policy.
is not right. A single policy. Whoops! As I hit my microphone. So getting involved in the boards and commissions, you learn so much about the inner workings of how city council and city government and a city council led government, city manager government rather, functions.
I'm glad you said that, because getting involved doesn't mean you're just really passionate about one sector per se. I'm interested in city government, what's happening in our community, because you will learn so much about how things move through. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like going to these meetings is the second best way to learn about local government. I think the best way is obviously work for local governments, but I think this is the second best way, and it's a variety of things that you can learn. Like there's many departments in the city, and just because your water got shut off on Monday doesn't mean that finance had anything to do with it, or HR. But it seems like it always goes to the same people all the time. And I'm one for transparency. I'm one for, hey, tell us we're doing something wrong, please, because we cannot do a better job unless we know. But yeah, learn about that before I joined the city, living back in Florida. I never once went to a single local government anything. I didn't even know it existed.
But you know what? I did, because my background is media, so I covered city council meetings in Florida and actually here in Asheville and all that, and I still was amazed at how little I knew. I probably knew more than most people who don't go to meetings.
So it's a perfect way to learn. And again, you're in this community.
Yeah.
If you want to make a change, make it better, just come and join us.
And get involved.
Talk to us.
Please
We're
do.
people too.
Sometimes. Me. I was speaking for me.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. You really, I don't want to say I was making jokes that, oh yeah, explain it for the audience what this means. I truly learned a lot today from what you told me, and I hope that this, topic reaches to someone who will apply and hopefully make a difference in Nashville, because we're all in this together.
We are. I'm not going anywhere.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah, Jerry.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's always so much fun to be around you too.
We're fine.
And well,
Clerk's office rules.
city clerk. May I just join in next time in What's Up Asheville here at WRES 100.7 FM. My name is Sam Parada, and take care of one another, Asheville.
You've been listening to What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the City of Asheville in collaboration with WRS 100.7 FM. This program will re-air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday